4 years ago, my team and I managed 750 properties in 2 locations. We grew from 750 properties to 2,200 homes in 3 years. And we did that by managing for institutional investors. How many of you guys today manage for an institutional investor or have managed for an institutional investor or would like to manage for an institutional investor? All right. So I'm going to share with you today the following: what you should know about institutional investors, where to find them, navigating the bidding process, managing growth, economies of scale, how to cope when they internalize. And I'll share some sample vital signs report, what these institutional investors are looking for, and some key takeaways, some key lessons that we got from managing with institutional investors. First, here's some fact. Institutional investors own less than 1% of all the single-family homes in this country. What does this mean? This means that while you're chasing the big fish, they're few and far in between. Secondly, you have to understand that the business has a life cycle. So it's not about if when they're going to internalize, it's when they're going to internalize. The pressure and demand grows each day. 4 years ago, I promise you I had no white hair. And now my wife says, you're looking like an old man. So many of them want to and have a defined timeline for internalizing. And they usually, for example, one of my institutional investors wanted for us to stabilize their portfolio. That's really what they wanted. They knew that they were going to be out in a year. They wanted us to stabilize their portfolio. Delinquency was over 10%. Vacancy was at 33%. Another one simply wanted us to help them launch in a market where they didn't have an office. So where do you find them? Raise your hand if you're a member of NARPM. My first institutional investor found me at NARPM. I didn't find them. They looked for me, and they were looking for a property manager that had some associations with NARPM. Also, we found some at IMN. If you've been to IMN, raise your hand. 5-star, raise your hand. So if you're looking for institutional investors, those are the places to find them. But Google search, ensure that your Google reviews are high because they're searching to find companies with excellent Google ratings. Understanding and responding to RFPs. Institutional investors really want to make sure that you understand their business and respond quickly to RFPs. So have a canned presentation for investors. Research the company. One of the things that I did is I actually researched the decision makers. So when I was talking and presenting to institutional investors, I knew who the decision makers were. Everyone says this: differentiate yourself from the pack and know and understand how they measure success. For example, we also think about systems. This is a very fragmented industry. Some mom and pops don't have the right systems. Make sure you understand their system requirements. Insurance, for example, 4 years ago, my insurance expense was $6,000 a year, 2 offices. That grew from $6,000 to $40,000 a year on insurance alone because you're looking for someone that has general liability, $2 million, $3 million, workers' comp, EPLI. So when you're thinking about dealing with institutional investors, before you begin dealing with them, customize your investor presentation, be visible in the marketplace. We were going to IMN, 5-star. We were nurturing them before they knew they wanted us. Do your homework, ask questions, and know that not all investors are all alike. We manage for several of them. They're not all alike. And most important thing you can do as a property management company, whether you have 200 or 1,000 properties, ensure that your business is self-sustained before you go for the big fish. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have some issues. After the deal is closed, be proactive. You heard that term before earlier today. You proactively set up weekly meetings. Manage with the key personnel. Keep your team aware of what's happening and keep them motivated. And ensure that your members in the team are not neglected, that are not working on the big fish. But most importantly, link your team's performance to their key performance indicators, delinquency percentage, days on the market, and of course, renewal percentages. So what are their vital signs? Here are some things that most institutional investors like to measure. Days on the market, that relates to vacancy. Renewal percentage, is it 85% or 75% renewal rate? Lease-ups, are you leasing them quickly? Delinquency report, is it 1%, 3%? I had one that had 10%. They simply wanted us to help them reduce their delinquency rate. They manage property count, property status. Those are all the things that these institutional investors are looking for. But while managing growth, your question you want to ask yourself is your system scalable? As I mentioned before, this industry is still very fragmented. Some small mom and pop may not be ready to manage for a large institutional investor. Ensure that your organic business does not suffer while you're managing for an institutional investor. We had several that wanted us to hire. They were telling us which positions to hire. We pushed back and said, we're going to hire just in time. So don't go hire a bunch of people because your investor wants you to. Ensure that you hire just in time. We went from a 1,500 square feet office. We grew slowly. We busted a wall before we moved to a new location.